In today's video, I'm talking about the question around concerns or fears around being criticized or judged by others. And then I have some tools that I talk about in the video as well of seeing it in a slightly different perspective to help change those concerns that you have in yourself. So I'm AmyC with You Finding You. I'm an intuitive and transformational coach, and I help individuals step into who they want to be, really connecting in themselves with their worth, with their value, who they are, and stepping into really being that in themselves. So, do you have fears or concerns around being criticized or judged by others? Like, what does it mean if you are criticized or judged? Does it mean that you won't be liked? That people will say you're wrong and being wrong means something bad in your world? Like you're not good enough then, and you're not going to be lovable or loved by others? Like, what does it mean if you are criticized or judged? And in the nonviolent communication, or NVC for short, there is a set of tools that they use where we look at judgments, and underlying the judgments are base human needs and values. Like these needs that we actually all universally have in ourselves as humans. Like around the world, everyone wants love or acceptance or to belong or safety or security, and we get them, of course, at different levels depending on where we are or the situation we're in. Like some people might want love and other people want security or acceptance or something. It's like different needs have different priorities for the individuals or even for the group, or something. So when I talk about the idea of needs, we all have them, we just have them in different priorities. So when someone is judging you or criticizing you, that means in themselves that some kind of need is possibly not being met, or they're, feeling maybe even an attack at something in themselves. Or, it's feeling something in themselves that they're kind of like, oh, this is not meeting my need of comfort or of ease. And so I'm going to judge you and say what you're doing is wrong. And it's not meeting my needs, but we don't use the language of needs. Instead, we use this language of judgments and judging the other person. And an example of this is like I've worked at different studios, visual effects studios over the years, and some of them you work crazy, crazy hours, you work late into the night, and others not so much. You have more of a, like we do 40, 50-hour work weeks and that's it. But the example that I want to share is, say you're working 10-hour days or 12-hour days and your office mates are working 15. And they look at you and they judge you for your 10 or 12-hour days. They're looking at you going, why, like you're not doing enough. You're actually, not meeting the quota, which actually you are. They don't know, or something. I'm using an example here. And so you are meeting your deadlines and meeting your quota, and you're doing it in 12, 10, or 12-hour days. And they're doing their 15-hour days, and they're like, well, you need to step up and do more. And again, it's coming from their point of view. A 15-hour days equals being productive. And you are like, well, I'm actually a little more efficient and I spend a little bit less breaks during the day and I get it done in 10 or 12-hour days. And you might then be judging them of like, well, that's dumb the way that you work because you're taking longer and exhausted in the end. And 10 or 12-hour days is still a lot. And 15 is crazy, so you might be like, okay, I'm now judging you. So underlying that is, what are the needs? In me being the 10 or 12-hour days, I want efficiency throughout the day, so I work a little differently. I also want an ease and sleep. It's like I want to have that a certain level of comfort in the hours rather than doing 15-hour days, which would exhaust me, and eventually I could not work as efficiently. So the person working 15-hour days might want something around productivity or turnout, like actually getting these things turned out. In the end, you both do want to get these products turned out in a certain way, but you're approaching them with different priorities of needs. So I go back to the original question of being, like, are you afraid of being judged or criticized? Like how, fears around looking stupid or messing up. And someone that might be judging you is just coming from a different place, and their priorities are different than yours. You, again, might still want the same thing in the end, like actually getting the work done and being productive, but you're coming at it in different ways. So, a lot of times, like, to work through it, if you have someone you have to be working with, you can talk about, well, like, these are my needs, and my needs for me was, an efficiency and a certain level of comfort. And I am still just being as productive. And once you become aware of where they are coming from, you can also then be like, oh, I am more understanding of what's going on in your situation. And they, in turn, can be more understanding of how you approach things. So I bring this up of the idea of the needs and judgments and playing with it a bit more. Like if you have fears of being criticized or concerns, that you don't want to be judged by others, what is the needs in yourself? And then if they do criticize you, you can kind of guess at. You'll never know for sure where they are coming from without talking to them. But you can guess at, oh, these are possibly their needs. Like this is where they are coming from. And it's again going to be different priorities on these needs. But they might also be wanting the same thing as you under all of that. So I have a needs list in the dialog box below where you can grab that list, and you can also find out, the underlying needs of what is underlying these judgments, either from other people or even from yourself. Like if you have judgments of people, what is it that it might be, hitting in you? What needs are not being quite seen or met in you that you can take a look at? And have a play with the question again of, are you concerned or afraid of, have these fears of being criticized or being judged? And what does that really mean in you? And can you also see like the needs in other people versus the needs in yourself, and how in different situations they are met or not met? So if you are getting value and enjoying these videos, do hit that like, share, and subscribe button below. And again, I have a link in the dialog box for the needs list that you can look at and compare and contrast and get ideas from. And thank you again for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.